So how do you become a more efficient, patient, and calm parent? So we know the usual things where you need to spend time with your child, you need to communicate with your child well, you need to set boundaries. For those parents that are moving from the tween age up to the teenagers, this is where it becomes very challenging, and this is where I often see parents start to question their parenting and whether they're doing all the right things, the wrong things, raising mentally healthy, stable children who are going to be capable in the real world. Well, the first thing that I like to teach is this thing in the background, which is called the thought cycle. And the idea of this is it teaches you that you have all the power over your thoughts, and you decide what everything inside that circle, which is all about life, what it all means. So let's use the thought cycle in some questions that people have sent to me, and I can answer them here. I must admit I hate social media. As a parent and a teacher, it is has such a powerful hold on teenagers. How do I teach them that social media is not all it's cracked up to be? And how do I stop the emotional breakdowns in the classroom and at home? Fantastic question. So as a parent or as a teacher, the first thing you need to do is analyze your own thinking about social media. Now, social media sits inside that circle. Now, everything inside that circle means it's a fact, and you have little or no control over it. Social media is here to stay, and it's a fact. And the moment that you let go of that power and go, okay, it's here, I've got to work with it, or I'm always going to be against it. It changes what you've made it all mean. It changes your thinking about social media. When you change your thinking about social media, it also changes the way you feel about the whole thing, which then ultimately changes the way you act or behave when you are either teaching your class or around your own child. So when it comes to teaching children, teenagers, or students about social media, it is about them empowering them that they have all the power to decide what every single like, not or no likes if they don't get the likes that they want, every single question, every single comment, what it all means. Now, if they decide that it means something negative, that is their choice, but they need to then teaching them to understand that it's a thought that they have on social media, on what's going on inside the circle, which is out of our control. Thoughts are not facts, they are choices. We decide what everything in life means. And we all decide something different. If someone writes something in social media about you, if you're on a Snapchat and someone said something you didn't like or didn't agree with, and you believe it. Now, when you believe something, it is just simply a thought, and a thought is a choice. So if you believe it, then you've chosen to believe what the other person has said about you is true. That is why you are getting a negative feeling about it. By empowering the students to know it's their choice what they believe about the message, then they can start to understand if I read the message and I instantly get a negative feeling, then I can laugh and go, okay, so I'm deciding that what this person is saying is true. And when you empower them with that, then they have the decision whether they go, I'm going to now decide it's not true about me, it's all about the other person. I like to teach the students that social media is about someone else. It's not about you. What you write on social media, you have total control over, and it's about you. So if you are writing something negative, it's coming from a negative place in you, and ultimately it is about yourself, not about the person you are writing about. And the same goes to someone else. You have no control over what they do. You can't stop them doing it, but you can stop them stop the way it affects you. That is all your power. So another question that I have, hey Natalie, what can I say? My child has gained a lot of weight lately and I don't know what to do. I have tried saying stuff and offering advice, but I feel like they're just blocking me out. I'm at a loss and becoming very stressed out. What actions do you suggest? So the feeling of stress comes from the feelings, which is coming from your thinking. Now you are deciding that the fact that your child is gaining weight means something very negative. And I'm not saying right or wrong, I'm just letting you know that this is your choice and your power. When you are feeling stressed, we act in that way. We act accordingly. Our actions, our behavior in life comes from how we feel. And often when we are feeling stressed, we are not calm and we don't push the point or the facts or the information. We tend to push our side of the situation. And if anybody's worked or has a teenager here, they know that the more you push something or shove something at a teenager, the more likely they're going to block it. So the first thing I would suggest is to work on your own thinking, what you make weight mean. It's not you, it's not about you. You are making it about you, even though it's about your child. The second thing is ultimately we don't have the power to control what our children put in their mouths. I'm talking as they're getting older here. Yes, you have control over what you have in the house for them to eat, but when they leave the house, you have no control. So what you do have the power over is teaching them to understand that everything they do to their body will have a consequence. If they decide to drink 3 cans of Coke in one day, there will ultimately be a consequence to doing that. But it is always their choice. We are handing them the choice because really it is their choice. But when we are trying to change things, we're trying to control them so that we feel better. If I control my child and control their weight, then I'm going to feel better about life. I'm stressed about their life and where their life is heading. If they're not stressed about their life and where their life is heading, then you have to let that go. It is not in your control. You can continually encourage. You can continually share advice. But letting them know that they ultimately have the power of their own body, and there will always be a consequence, and it doesn't have to be a bad consequence. If they choose to have 3 glasses of water over the Coke every day, there will ultimately be a consequence. It may not reduce their weight, but it helps give them clearer skin, helps them feel better, more energy, those type of things. So by explaining it that way, you are empowering them to make those decisions that they ultimately are making anyway, but they don't realize that they have the power to make them. So if you are interested in taking this a little bit further, I have a 21-day program where I go through all different areas of thinking, from forgiveness to self-doubt to confidence to setting goals to everything that by you working on yourself will ultimately affect, because your feelings will change and your actions will change. You will be calmer in facing stressful situations. You will, because your thinking will change. You'll be aware. You'll move your subconscious thinking to your conscious thinking, which is where we make all the decisions and the changes. So if you are interested, click one of the links down below, up around, and I would love to see you and join us for the 21-day program.